Welcome to our weekly Soccer Down Here 1v1 with Chris Ashley of YTSS, the podcast, GVLsoccer.com. And should we just go ahead and call you like Karnak the Magnificent or something like that for or David Copperfield or whoever your favorite magician is for being prescient about the USL League One championship game?
I mean, here's the deal, John. Like every once in a while I get one right. I get plenty of them wrong, but it's, my high school math teacher used to say, even a blind hog finds an acorn every once in a while.
Yep.
So, we talked about it last week. I said I didn't know what the contractual issues would be with ESPN about the game being able to be broadcast locally. Evidently, it wasn't an issue because we got that announcement today that the League One Final is going to be on the local CW channel. And look, that's huge. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that people can fully appreciate how big of a deal that is. The league obviously has a contract with ESPN Plus. That's an over-the-top service. ESPN has paid money for these rights. They want people to subscribe. But for them to give the AOK for a championship match for a team from Greenville to be locally broadcast, that means anybody in this city, anybody in the upstate and Western North Carolina and some of Northeast Georgia, I suppose, that want to watch the Greenville Triumph play, if you can't make it out to see, you're going to get to see it for free over the air. Even if you got the old rabbit ears, you'll be able to get the match.
And obviously right now we go back to the matchup against OCB at Legacy Early, and you take care of business, which is what you're supposed to do. It was a 2-0 win for Greenville to get another 3 points to get you closer to hosting the USL League One Final.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a match. I think we talked about this last week. It wasn't a match that I had any concern over not getting 3 points out of. It did take a while, and I think I tweeted this at halftime. Greenville had 23 shots at halftime. 23.
Is that all?
I was baffled. None of them had gone into the back of the net. They had some great opportunities. There were some opportunities that were good saves, either by the defender or the keeper. But, it was a game where Greenville really just dominated. And I think it's probably you take a team at the top of the league who's kind of put some distance on the top of the league, and you take a team at the bottom of the league who's well down at the bottom of the league. And I think you really saw the contrast in the top of the table and the bottom of the table in this league in that match. It wasn't a match that felt close, even though it was 0-0 at halftime, even though it was only a 2-goal victory. It didn't feel close. And for the second week in a row, Greenville doesn't allow a shot on goal. So again, the league trying to keep my guy Dallas J
out of the... How bored is Dallas J right now?
He's set up shop back there. I think he did some really amateur Photoshop skills when they had the clean sheet Finn's Car Wash discount graphic with his face, and he just pasted all the defenders over top of him because really he didn't have to do much. You had a back line that was keeping opportunities out of the 18-yard box, and he wasn't. I don't know. He might have been back there making some s'mores. I can't. Who knows? He had plenty of time.
He wasn't sharing them if he was, man.
Right? Yeah. He had whatever time he needed. But I mean, good two good goals. You had a third goal that got waved off for an offside call. That was pretty close. I think that could have easily been a goal. But waved off, and you saw some guys get some minutes, but it was a good match. It was a good match for the Triumph to have some confidence going in. And then, of course, that made you feel decently good about keeping pace to host. And then Richmond decides to go out and lay an egg. And that was the most unexpected result of the weekend to give Greenville, put them firmly in the driver's seat to host the championship match here at the end of the month.
Goals by Lachlan McLean, his fourth of the year, and Alex Morrell gets one. So those are your two. And Morrell up for August Player of the Month. And we've gone into that voting as well when it comes to everything that's going on right now. So 2 goals on the board, and now it's a trip to Tucson. So are there any direct flights from Greenville to Tucson that you're aware of?
I have no clue. Our airport is Greenville Spartanburg International Airport.
Yes.
We do have a couple of international flights, but I don't know that there's any direct flights to Tucson. But even still, I mentioned this on my podcast this week. I'm not sure what this team is going to do. I'm not sure what Coach Hartz is going to do with a cross-country trip when you've got 3 matches remaining. You've got the trip out to Tucson. You've got a home match against Omaha and then a short trip down to Orlando to finish the season. I wouldn't be surprised either way. I wouldn't be surprised if they take the full crew out there, because this team, it's not like they have a fluffy roster in terms of numbers. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe leave a couple guys behind, just with everything that's going on with COVID in the world, travel, and then also being in the position they're in pretty comfortably. It wouldn't shock me if they left a couple guys back, but I don't know that Harks operates that way. So I'm expecting it. I'm expecting everybody to travel out there. And again, it's a Tucson team that has given some teams fits. They helped us out over the weekend by getting a draw with Madison and kind of clinching us in there. But this is a great team. We're locked into the final, and we're ready to take this road trip. Last time we went to Tucson, it was a good night where we clinched a playoff spot last year. So maybe this year, if things go well earlier in the day with Richmond and North Texas, it might be a night where we clinch getting to host the 2020 final.
Developing out of the USL League One, Emiliano Terzaghi ends up with Player of the Month honors for September. Eduardo Sosa second, Marky Hernandez third, Alex Morel was fourth, Ella Belton from FC Tucson was fifth. So Terzaghi gets Player of the Month honors, but someone that you're quite familiar with was Coach of the Month.
Yeah, John Harks, again, Coach of the Month in July, Coach of the Month in September. He's, I think this is his year to win Coach of the Year. I don't foresee anybody, with the exception of maybe the guy up in Richmond giving him a run for his money. But I think Coach Harks has done. Listen, this shouldn't surprise people, because his first year and a half in Cincinnati, he did this same thing. He took a brand new team to third place in the league. He was well on his way to having another great year in year two when he left there. So you saw him in year one take this team to a final with no structure, starting from ground zero, and now he has put together a team that honestly is just dominating the league in every way. And my biggest fear here is I don't want Coach Harks to leave us if we win a championship. I think it would be much, much deserved if he gets an opportunity elsewhere. And, I would send him off with all the love and respect in the world, because he has done such a great job here in Greenville, and the people here love him. And I think he loves it here. I think he loves a lot of the fans. I think he loves the organization for the most part. They've done a lot to help make him successful in the way he wants to be successful. But he's a guy that reminds me of my guy Marcelo Bielsa, in the sense that he can do it with guys that may not shine like some of the other players in this league, but he sees something in them and knows how to get the best out of these players. And you've seen that all around from front to back on this lineup.
Current standings heading into the weekend, Greenville is 8 clear of everybody. 13 matches played, 31 points on the board. Richmond with a match in hand. So basically, you're looking at three and a half match lead or something like that. 8 points to go between Greenville and Richmond. Omadraw is in third, 1 point back of Richmond, having played 13. Red Wolves, and this is where that other gaggle is, basically from 4th to 10th, 5 points separate them all. Chattanooga's at 18, Tucson's at 18, having played one more match. North Texas has only played 12 matches. They're at 17. Forward Madison is 11 matches played. It's at 15, if I could actually read what I'm staring at here. Fort Lauderdale is 13 matches, 14 points. New England Revolution 2 is also at 14 points. 12 matches played. Torment is at 13, and then OCB, losers of a lot in a row, are 1-8-3 on the year so far, only 6 points with 12 matches played. You look at what's going to be going on this weekend, and outside of your match, and I do have a question I want to ask about your show when we get through with everything else that's going on. Looking at what's going on this weekend, Friday night, it's New England. It's New 2 hosting Fort Lauderdale. That's at Gillette on Friday night. Saturday, OCB is hosting the Red Wolves. North Texas hosting the Richmond Kickers at Globe Life. And the matchup with Tucson hosting Greenville. 10:30 at Keno North on Saturday night. Sunday, October 11th, Forward Madison has the home game against Omaha. So there can be some shuffling of what's going on, and North Texas could come out to be a spoiler for you.
Yeah, and if people are really wanting to get into the super nerdy statistics and the super complex, here's who could make it and how all the amalgamations look, and here's points per game rankings, and here's strength of schedule for the rest of the year, you can download the latest episode of Yeah, That Soccer Show.
There you go.
I go into all the details. I have 3 different rankings. I've ranked by points per game. I've got the current table rankings. I've ranked by possible points remaining. I've looked at the strength of schedule for each team left, because, when you get in this situation where there's some teams that have played 14 games or some teams that have played 11 games, it's kind of hard to just look at the table and take it at face value. North Texas is in a good position to potentially sneak up and maybe compete for a spot in the final. Now, let's just be honest with this, John. Richmond, their magic number is at 9, so they've got to get 9 points in 4 matches. That obviously changes with other results, but 2 of their last 4, they've got to travel down and take on a very hot North Texas team this Saturday. Then they've got to play Chattanooga in the last game of the year. But the thing about Richmond is, going back to October 3rd, in the span of 21 days between the 3rd and the 24th, they will have to have played 6 matches. So they've got a lot of midweek matches coming up. And that's, you got a guy like Terzaghi, you've got some good players up there, but that's a lot of minutes for a lot of guys in a real short amount of time. They're going to have to rotate a little bit. They're going to have some weary legs. So Richmond, even though they're in the driver's seat and they're looking like the likely opponent for Greenville, it's not by any stretch locked in. I think Madison's got a shout. I think Omaha's got a shout, and I think North Texas has a shout. Chattanooga probably has played themselves out of it with a loss midweek, but they're in contention for sure too.
When it comes to this week's show over on your side of things at YTSS, what was the most popular question that folks wanted answered?
I think people are chomping at the bit about when are we going to know if we're hosting or not, and how is that what has to happen for us to make sure we're hosting. I think that's what's on everybody's mind at the moment, because there's not a lot of questions about tactics or can we make it. We know we're in. That's done. Now it's just, how do we make sure that people have to come to us and we can be present without having to get on a plane and go somewhere.
What else is going on at gvlsoccer.com and at YTSS these days?
Yeah, so drop the podcast today, so go check that out at YTSS Podcast on Twitter. gvlsoccer.com is the website, working towards wanting to have a piece of content every day in the week leading up to the final, so doing a little prep work for that. Working on a finals TIFO with the Reedy River Riot that I think is going to be really fun. It's going to be the biggest and best one we've done yet. Working with Doug Irwin and the folks over at Legacy Early about how we might be able to hoist such TIFO. Okay. This is going to be a logistics thing and a logistics issue, but we're going to make it work. And again, we're just, this is a good time. We're going to be brewing a lot of coffee on Saturday to get that hashtag Triumph After Dark, and that will be starting on Saturday here and ending on Sunday. So, it'll be a 2-day affair when the Triumph traveled to the desert.
How are the birthday planes coming, by the way?
Hey, well, the Triumph went ahead and just did me a favor and put out a heck of a deal on their ticket sales with $100 for 2 tickets and a jersey. If I didn't have all the jerseys already,
I know, really,
that would be quite enticing for folks that want to come out and celebrate my birthday with me on the 18th.
Because I already, full disclosure, and I imagine if Doug listens to this, he'll find out sooner or later. He might even be checking merchandise and marketing receipts. I've already bought my T-shirt for the League One Final.
Yes, yep, those are out as well, and they're good looking. Last year I waited to buy my final T-shirt because I was hoping I'd be able to buy championship gear instead. And so after they didn't win, I went ahead and bought the final shirt. But I think I'm just going to have to go buy the final shirt anyway this year and then fork up more dough for the championship merch once we win it.
You and me both, brother. All right. So for folks that want to pay attention to everything that you're doing, how do they do it?
Yeah, at YTSS Podcast on Twitter. You can follow me at GVL Soccer Guy. Getting a little more spicy with the podcast tweets just because it's a lot of fun this season, John. It's fun when you're winning, and it's fun to talk smack when you're winning.
Exactly. So, Chris, as always, brew the coffee and make sure that everyone is keeping an eye on what's going on out at Keno, because it should be a big night as the Greenville Triumph make their way to Tucson to take on Tucson in USL League One. As always, my friend, thanks for hanging out with us for our weekly update in the 1v1.
Sounds good, John. We'll talk to you next week.